Hey everyone, Brendan Snyder here. How are you? Thank you so much for joining me and welcome to another episode of New Music Finds. This is where I like to collect together all the albums and things that I purchased over the past week and I run through it with you. I give you guys a little reviews on each item. But this is where you can kind of find out all the stuff that dropped brand new from the week before, along with some other killer stuff that I picked up along the way from my favorite record stores and eBay and Amazon and all that cool stuff. So I'm going to dive into that here in just a bit, but before we do, if you're new to my channel and you haven't already hit the subscribe button, please do leave a comment, hit like, all those things do help, and if you turn on notifications, you stay up to date on really cool videos just like this one here, where I'm talking about all the killer stuff that I got. But that's not to gloat, it's really just to show you guys what's out there. And before I get started, a lot of you guys have noticed my guitar in the background here. Some of you guys have asked who gave me the guitar. Nobody gave me the guitar. This is my guitar. I mean, you can see how worn it is in different spots from me using it over the years. I just hadn't had it out yet. It had been in the closet, under the bed. When I was in New York, I didn't really have any space to keep my instruments out. I've got a bass. I've got a few other guitars. I played in some bands back in the day, but never made it, of course. I chose to continue with college, became an architect, and here I am, right? But I do play guitar, and a lot of you guys ask me to play, the guitar on the, video for you and stuff like that. That's probably not gonna happen. I appreciate you guys asking and being interested in it, but I'm gonna keep this channel based on the music reviews and discussion about music and things like that. I'm not gonna try to be a rock star when I'm 47. So that's really just for me to noodle around on and have a good time. But, I never say never, because it could happen. We'll have to wait and see. I did record a lot of demos and things back in the day, so I don't know, maybe at some point I'll post some of that stuff for you guys. Okay, new stuff that came out. Let's dive into that. That's what this video is all about, right? I'm gonna start with the one that blew my mind. And it's Trevor Rabern, Rio. First new studio album with vocals, not an instrumental, in 34 years. This thing here immediately had the sound that I would have expected, that I wanted from him. There's nothing on this that made me go, not as good as his other albums, plural. But 1989, he released an album that was very reminiscent of what he was doing with Yes from 1983. And he's actually with the band up until about 95, I think. And he made technically 4 studio albums with him, but I don't really count Union because that was just a crossover of everyone. But really, they made 3 albums together. And I loved that era of the band, and I loved the Trevor Rabern offshoot stuff. And then, of course, he moved into classical music. And I love that too, but it wasn't this. And he made an instrumental album. That one had a lot of different genres and styles on it and things, and it was cool. But again, it wasn't this. This album here is just put the biggest smile on my face and made me so happy. I can't recommend it enough. If you like prog, if you like Yes from the 80s, check this out. It's fantastic. The first single is Big Mistakes, and that's by far my favorite track on here, but it just has so much good stuff. Track number 9, Igoli, I think is how you say it. It's a killer song. Don't know what it means. It's probably a South African term. That's where he's from. So you got that. Roger Waters dropped the Dark Side of the Moon redo with a hideous cover. Although if you look in there, you can see the Dark Side of the Moon album there in the dog's eye. And then you get this. I don't get it. He has done some awful album covers in his career, in my opinion, with maybe the exception of Pros and Cons of Hitchhiking with the Naked Girl backpack. But of course, I'm a guy, so of course I'm going to love that. And that was a Hypnosis cover, I think, Storm Thurgeson. But yeah, all right, back to this. Sorry. This didn't move me. It's cool. It's basically a story now. He narrates different parts throughout it, and it really tells a story linking all the music together as though this should be a Broadway production. And he doesn't really sing anymore. It's kind of gravelly, Leonard Cohen style, spoken, sung vocals. It's not bad, it's just very different. The music is more subdued. It's like his Lockdown Session reinterpretation album that he did of some Floyd tunes. And it's just kind of lackluster in my opinion, but I like the differences that are in here. I really wish the narrated parts were separate tracks and I could have skipped those and just gotten the music, or even released 2 versions of it like Pete Townsend did for Psychodelic, one with all the narration and the music and another one that was music only. It's cool, it's interesting, but I don't think I'm going to be going back to it all that often. Now, I do an episode or a series that I call What Just Dropped. I film it Friday nights late after going through everything that came out that day. Put it together, post it for you guys Saturday mornings. All my videos go up 6 a.m. Eastern Standard Time so that you get them full, the full day throughout. But I have found that's a good time for those of you that are like in the UK and other places around the world, where it might be early here, but other people around the world are also getting it, not in the middle of the night, at least hopefully. I'm sure there's some places where it's the middle of the night when I'm doing that, like, I don't know, Korea and, other places that are all the way around the world. So, point is, I keep finding things when I'm filming those for you guys. And that's the stuff I did my whole life, always going through and checking the stuff out and finding extra stuff. So I pre-order an amount of stuff, and then there's albums that I don't even know that came out, and I find them that way, and I order them, and they come the next day for me. Now, I have Prime with Amazon. So if I order on Friday, a lot of times these are one-day deliveries, and I get them on Saturday, and here's one of them. Pink Fairy's Screwed Up, brand new album. Original vocalist and guitar player. Love the art. The art just grabbed me immediately. Couldn't even sample it, but I just decided what the heck. And the reason being is we got Alan Davey on bass from Motorhead coming over, and Alan Davey is popping up everywhere. He's in, or it's Motorhead, sorry, I meant Hawkwind, but you see the Motorhead connection that's in there. Hawkestral, he's out doing that, which is an offshoot project. He's part of Headcat, which is a relation to Motorhead because Lemmy from Motorhead used to be in it. He's now taken over the vocal and bass playing aspect of that. And then you get Lucius Fox, the original drummer from Motorhead. Again, you can see why I messed up at the beginning there, because there's so many Motorhead connections to this thing. So I think some of the other guys that were in here were part of Motorhead too. I want to say, who was the original guitar player in Motorhead? I think he was also from Pink Fairies, and I'm totally Larry something. You guys will tell me. But there you go. That came out, and that's a pretty cool release. This one, while not rock related necessarily, but and I'm gonna have to read the side of this. Claudio Simonetti's Goblin De Mania, Dawn of the Dead. Okay. So this guy originally scored the movie Dawn of the Dead, and he has been re-recording these soundtracks in more of a prog hard rock style, because he formed the band Goblin to do that, and later on, which is De Mania, and he's really merged those two together, and he's been re-recording some killer soundtracks. I like the movie Dawn of the Dead, the original. I like the remake. But this is some killer music in here. So it's got that harder edge to it. It's got a more prog feel to it. And if you've ever watched any of the movies like The Thing, Halloween, They Live, John Carpenter did those. And he's done the same thing. He always scored his own movies. He's now re-recording that stuff and putting it out with a band. And it's got a more rock vibe to the stuff. But anyway, that's why I picked this up. Very killer stuff there. Now, this also came out, but I talked about it last week because I got mine early to do a review, but it was the Van Halen box set. 4 studio albums with Sammy Hagar and a rarities disc in here, and they all pull out like this. They're replicas of the LPs. Very cool in their art, all of that great stuff. If you've watched my review, then you know my point on this. First and foremost, I'm not saying that it's bad and I don't like it. I like these remasters. However, they do not sound like the original mixes of the album, and I'm still going to stand by the fact that these were not simply just remastered. There is some subtle differences, yes, but there is enough difference in them that they change the levels, and if you change the levels, it is a remix. I think a lot of people have stuck in their head that a remix sounds like something you hear in a dance club, and that is not true. You know, subtly turning up the bass, pulling the bass down, stuff like that is a remix. and they brought certain things to the forefront that weren't there, and they pulled other things back, and it gives these songs a different feel. Not bad, just a different feel, but in my opinion, it's lost the punch that the original mixes have, and therefore I'm going to continue to listen to the original mixes. But I'm enjoying this, so I'm not knocking it. If you guys, thought I didn't like something, I don't know where that came from, but I did just want to clear that up. Another thing that I found through the What's Just Dropped segment that I do, well, I won't say I knew this was coming out, but I ended up buying it after seeing it and being able to really get into it with having to film that video, so talking about it, so I looked into it a bit more. Yes, singles. So this is just a single album on vinyl. It's not available on CD. I do buy vinyl, but of course I generally buy it when it's only available in LP format like this and not available as a CD. And I still hope they'll release it as a CD. It's on Atlantic Records. It's done by Rhino Records, and it's got 12 tracks on it. They're all single editions. So you take those super long Yes songs that are 8, 10, 12, 15, 20 minutes long, and they've shrunk them down here so you can get 6 on an album. And a lot of these, it's the first time they've ever been issued on vinyl. Other ones, they've just been only released here and there, and this is a great collection that has finally pulled together those single releases of songs. Some of these are only like 3 minutes long, but they came from like a song that was 18 minutes long. And so I think that's pretty cool, and just as a big Yes fan, I had to pick that up. I haven't opened it yet. It literally just came in the mail before filming this. I had to wait until I got my last thing to be able to do for you guys. So I'll be digging that later today. I then picked this up. It was, again, something I found through the What's Just Dropped. Was a reissue of Municipal Waste's first album, Waste 'Em All. It's been out of print forever. I haven't been able to get it. I go into stores, nobody selling it used or whatever, so I just haven't been able to get it. I could have hunted it down, done a little more work, maybe ordered it off eBay, but ultimately I just never came across it, and suddenly I saw that it had been reissued, so I picked it up. I love Municipal Waste. They're one of the best new era thrash bands that are out there. I actually think they've been around now about 20 years, but great band from Richmond, Virginia. Can't say enough about them. Okay, and here's one that I just recently did a review on, much like the Van Halen box that I got early. So early review for the new Nuclear Assault album, Radiation Sickness. This is a live archival album from 1987. It was originally released as a VHS, and I'm guessing that's where they got the live recording from, so it's first time it's getting an album release. 11 tracks on here, 1987. It pulls heavily from the debut album, The Game, but also they had the Plague EP, so some tracks on there. And one song I couldn't find a connection to anywhere was a song called Lesbians that's on here. Might be an unreleased track, but that one track did not appear on anything that they had out during that time frame. So there you go. Bunch of killer stuff that I picked up this past week. Maybe you found something new in it and you want to take a little tangent off. But I gotta say, out of all the stuff that I normally would just purchase, these are things that I found after the fact and would not normally have been on my pre-order list. And so there is great stuff that's out there dropping each week that, unless you're doing your homework, and certainly I'll do the homework for you if you tune in and you can just watch it here, but I'm trying to do all the homework and stay on top of it, and I do album release schedule, but even then I'm missing this stuff and don't know why it's not popping up in the various areas. But then when I do the What's Just Dropped series, where I can actually check literally what is new for that day, I'm finding all this killer stuff. And so lots and lots of great stuff out there. Case in point, I recently just filmed a video called, is there a rock resurgence going on? And certainly I think yes. And case in point with all this killer stuff, I mean, I don't know when the last time it was that Pink Fairies made anything. They've returned, and a group called Bang that only made a couple albums in the 70s reunited, just put an album out. So there's lots and lots of killer stuff. There you go, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed this episode. Certainly let me know the things that you found this past week, your great finds, whether new or something old. Yeah, let's have a good time with it. So take care, everyone, and I'll talk to you real soon. Bye-bye.